In 2023 alone, I managed to take over photos. Hey everybody, and welcome to the last video of the year, just in the nick of time.
This guy. Optimistic Alex. Alex that doesn't think he's going to have a plumbing emergency while editing this video. Well, he almost made it anyway. Almost.
It has been a crazy year for me. Earlier this year, I decided to take some time and explore photography and knock out some bucket list items while I still had the opportunity. Well, some time ended up turning into the rest of the whole year while I tried to see where photography could take me if I dedicated the majority of my time to it. I learned a lot about animals, geology, history, and myself along the way. I visited 4 national parks, met some really cool people, and obviously took a lot of pictures. Like, a lot. In fact, in 2023, I managed to take over, are you ready for this? Take a minute, write down a guess in the comments. How many pictures do you think I took in 2023? Ready? 28,000 photos. And that's just what made it to my Lightroom catalog. I learned a lot while shooting, and out of those thousands of photos, there was a little over 100 that I was really proud of, but now I want to show you my top 10 favorite photos of 2023. So let's take a look. Now I gotta start off by saying that while a lot of these photos can be appreciated on a mobile device, I really recommend that you take the time to look at them on a laptop or a smart TV so you can get the full effect. Okay, let's get into it, starting with number 10. If you follow my Instagram, you know that there's some Paragen Falcons that I get to see most mornings. I took a ton of photos of these birds, and while a lot of them were really cool, they were also kind of brutal and not for everyone. They are predators after all. This one though, I always enjoy looking at. This is the back of the local male who we call Toozy. Both of these raptors have grown very comfortable with the presence of humans since they nest on a cliff right next to a park. Sometimes they'll perch on the cliff where I can get shots like this from no more than 20 feet away. On a 600mm lens and a 45 megapixel camera, you can see very fine details like this, especially in black and white. Number 9. This photo may be 9th on the list, but believe me, it is number 1 in terms of cuteness. This is a male Mandarin duck taking a little afternoon nap. Mandarin ducks really do look like if you asked an AI to turn an abstract painting into a bird. They're just so ornate. I took my sweet time quietly creeping up on this guy to get this photo. This was taken with my 600mm and a 1.4x teleconverter on my R5, which has 45 megapixels. And since you're looking at this on a big screen, you're gonna see a lot of detail. Unlike the last one though, the colors on this duck really are the main attraction, and I was lucky enough to have a simple green background that I could frame up to really make the colors pop. Number 8. This number 8 photo is actually making its debut here. I took this the day before recording this video down at Cabrillo Beach. There had been a huge ocean swell coming through the SoCal area and the waterfronts were getting hammered with waves. This photo pretty well sums up the scene. What I like about this shot is that even though there's a lot going on, it's still well balanced and tells a concise story. Between the debris in the parking lot and the obvious huge wave crashing on the jetty in the background, you can really get a sense of the chaos and power that nature was throwing at us. Number 7. This next photo was actually picked up by Petapixel after I posted it to a wildlife subreddit. Almost every day I would go to the local park in the mornings and take photos of the foxes and the Paragen Falcons. The falcons were frequently doing mid-air food transfers where the male would bring in a meal for the female to come and take. Many times these transfers would happen above or below us, giving us a solid white background or a dirty cliffside. This one though was about as perfect as you could ask for. Not only did it happen level with my sight line, but the falcons were perfectly aligned with me as well, giving me the straight-on perspective of the female coming in to grab her meal. Number 6. This photo was one of my favorites from my trip to Death Valley. I really enjoy a good minimalist frame, and this shot is a perfect example. The gentle triangular peak of the sand dune with the curved ridge separating the sun and shadow side gives a beautiful and concise balance of color and tone. But if you keep looking, you can see more small details like the sand blowing over the edge and some small bits of vegetation that got stuck in the dune. As a bonus, I'll throw in the black and white version too, which has a different, albeit still minimalist vibe. We'll call this number 6.5. Number 5. This photo was not one I expected to get, but when nature gives you a picture worthy of a scene, you bring your camera out. I was in Yellowstone with my buddy for less than 24 hours and figured I'd wander around and see some of the hot springs and maybe a bison if we got lucky. Well, at the end of the day, on our way back to the campsite, I caught this incredibly dramatic sunset over a meadow. If you look close, you can see a lone bison in the field and some hot springs steaming in the background. This one is going to make a really nice large print, so stay tuned for that. Number 4. Now this photo is particularly dear to me because it took a lot of planning, and hoping that said planning paid off. Earlier on in the year, I was in Joshua Tree, and it inspired me to take a proper Milky Way photo. I learned that the core of the galaxy is only visible during certain times of the year. It's also only visible in certain places. After some research, I decided to take a trip to Death Valley for the extremely dark skies and unique landscapes. Badwater Basin, being the lowest point in the country, seemed like a great place to stare up into the infinite height of the cosmos. I'm very glad my star tracking apps were able to accurately predict the location of the Milky Way, making my hours-long wait in the desert well worthwhile. Number 3. The bronze medal goes to this shot of a storm coming in over Mesquite Flats, also in Death Valley. I went for a galaxy shot in June with a buddy of mine, and we went to check out the dunes as the sun was going down. I knew there were some rain clouds in the distance, but all of a sudden there was a lightning storm that started coming right at us. I stayed for as long as I could trying to capture the storm, and this was one of my favorites. It's not every day that you get to see a thunderstorm over desert sands. Number 2. Now this was actually a tough call. This photo really is one of my favorites ever, let alone of 2023. Almost every day from February until June, I went down to my local park and watched a red fox family. If you follow my Instagram, I'll just put the info right here again for you. Okay, now that you follow me on Instagram, you can see that there's a lot of fox photos during that time. Watching them so frequently allowed me to learn their patterns and personalities. After a while, I could predict where they'd show up based on where they'd already been. There was a particular route past the lighthouse that this male fox liked to take, and when I saw him enter the yard, I quickly positioned myself where I expected him to come out. He also seemed to know and just not care that I was watching him the entire time. I saw him coming straight at me through the fence, and he just looked right down the barrel of my lens, giving me this incredible portrait. I actually recently gifted a print of this photo to my friend Dana, who also has a YouTube channel. I'll link it in the description below. And now, my favorite photo of 2023. Do you think you know which one it is? Put your guess in the comments down below and let's see if you were right. My favorite photo of the year, by far, is this one. This view of firefalls at Yosemite was more to me than just a gorgeous phenomenon to witness. This was the first major photography trip I took after quitting my job earlier this year. I had never been to Yosemite, I never even heard of firefalls, but I wanted to hit the ground running and just say yes to good ideas as much as I could. This was also the first YouTube video I ever made on my channel, so on top of it being a beautiful photo of an amazing phenomenon, it was also the beginning of an important transitional phase in my life. I look at this photo as being the one that kicked off this adventure into photography, which hopefully isn't about to stop anytime soon. Thank you so much for watching this video and taking the time to look back on these photos of mine from 2023. I'm officially taking recommendations for 2024 now, so let me know in the comments where you think I should go or what you want to see for next year. If you haven't already, click the like button and subscribe to the channel so that you can stay up to date with me as I see where this adventure takes me next year. Stay safe and have a great new year.